Well, it's over, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. The road trip, the longest road trip of the year for your Phoenix Suns. 6-gamer all over the country. East Coast swing stops in DC and New York and Toronto, ends in Cleveland. 1-5 on that road trip, Matthew. 1-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Let's go back home and regroup, right?
I guess.
I don't know what else. Yeah, I mean, tonight's game, you kind of just felt like it was going to end this way. This is the
Knew
way
it was coming.
Sucky teams are handled, man. It's like a team's off that's as good as the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're going to win the game by 2 points or 3 points. We're not going to win this game. We're up by like 6, 8, 10 points. That's not enough.
No.
It's just the way it was supposed to end. Sorry, Suns fans, another loss.
That's just the life of the Phoenix Suns right now. To your point,
Yeah.
You think back to like last season, the last 2 seasons for the Phoenix Suns. Whenever they were off, they could still find ways to win a game. And right now, given the current state of the Suns, and my wife was asking me tonight, she goes, why are they so bad lately? And I was just breaking it down. I'm like, best player's out. Cameron Johnson's out. Jay Crowder's getting paid not to be there. You know, that's 3 guys, you know, but that injury list is getting shorter and shorter, right? I mean, if you look at it, those are the only 3 guys who are out. Everybody else is available these days.
Yeah, except for Payne, he looks like he's hurt again. So we'll see. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, goes and injures his foot in the first half. But again, like, you know, to that point, it's, you know, we're getting to that point where it's just not winning. It's not a winning basketball team. Culturally, it's not a winning basketball team. And when you find yourself in a situation, as you mentioned, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were off tonight. They were off. I mean, think about this. The team scored 90 points. Donovan Mitchell had 71 himself just a couple nights ago against the Chicago Bulls. And when a team is off like that, you have to have the ability to put your foot down, to stomp it out. And the Phoenix Suns, after giving up 15 points in the first quarter, 18 points in the second quarter, and 26 in the third, give up 31. They're outscored by 7 points in the fourth quarter, lose the game 90 to 88 in a classic 1990s basketball score.
Yep, just what Chris Paul wanted, right? This is his kind of game to get back into it. Not enough to finish it, but just enough to put up those points, stay in the game because you're not going to get run out of the gym by a team that can't make shit. So this is a perfect game for Chris Paul to kind of get back under, I guess, get back into the groove or whatever, but still come out with the loss. It's weird because I think that the way the Suns play defense and the way that they really just gave it all, it just reminds you of just being a shitty team. Like I said, like it's just, I don't know what else you're supposed to do. Yeah, it's like when, like, you know, you're a football team and you go and you play the undefeated team and you like one game the whole year. And you go, it's like such a hard fought game, and there's always one fuck up towards the end that you end up losing because that's just the way it is. I don't know what it is, but that's how it happens. And that's exactly, I feel like, how it happened tonight for the Suns.
Yeah, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Winning in the NBA is hard. And we're reminded of that constantly and consistently this season. The record for the Phoenix Suns now sits at 20-19 on the season. They're going to drop even further in the standings after this loss because the Golden State Warriors entered with a 20-19 or 20-18 record. So we're going to drop to at least the 9 seed before the night is done. The 9 seed, Matthew. The 9 seed. The team that a month ago was the 1 seed.
Yeah, we'll get a tweet though from somebody saying to calm down. It's okay, and it is okay.
Yeah,
it just
sucks along the way.
It sucks losing these games because of how hard you tried, and just knowing as a Suns fan, you're like, this is the way we have to play every game to have a chance, and that's going to be a lot of effort. So I don't know if they can do it night in and night out. They proved that they can't, so we'll see if they can continue to do this.
They certainly proved that they couldn't on this road trip. Again, 1-5 on this road trip, the longest one of the year. So that's behind us now. But we knew entering this road trip, even before this road trip began, we knew that this team was faltering. And then we lose Devin Booker in the first game of this roadie, and then we win one miraculous game in Memphis, or this would have been an 0-6 run. And it is what it is at this point. So plenty to talk about on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast, brought to you by the Basketball Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you consume this content. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Matthew, we got another one.
Yes.
Yes.
It's you're pulling off that magic, right?
I think the Jamsters feel so bad for us on this road trip, going 1-5, and seeing that we still show up and go live after every game, that they're heading over to Apple, they're dropping 5 stars, and they're writing just some words of encouragement. They're, come on, guys, you can do it. Thanks, man, for doing this, because it's gotta suck. Because everybody who watches and listens to this show, you get it. You're a Suns fan. You're feeling what we're feeling, but we have to actually sit here and talk about it. You just got to listen and go, yeah. Are you going to be in the chat and be like, yeah, no, you're right, or you're wrong? And we're sitting here just like, I have to do everything I can to just check my emotions and not put my microphone through my computer screen. I'm just so goddamn frustrated. So,
well, dude, at least we'll have a long summer, right? We get a long summer, a long break after the season. That's what I'm looking forward to, going fishing early.
It's fucking January 4th, and we're already like, I'm planning my first fishing trip. It's going to be fantastic.
No playoffs this year.
No playoffs this year.
See.
So, crack them if you got them, Suns fans. I got a Scottsdale blonde here, so make that beautiful, sweet sound of opening an ice-cold cerveza. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about another fucking Suns therapy session. (90-88), the Phoenix Suns lose at the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers. 20-19 now. More losses than all of last season, Matthew. The 64-18 Phoenix Suns, we are 20-19 this year. But it brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask. First of all, did you watch the beginning of this game? I know it was a 5 o'clock Arizona start. Did you get to see the beginning of this game?
Yeah, I did. I was working at home, so what I did is I moved from this spot into the living room. But actually, my mom came over, my mom and my aunt. So when they came over, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna get out of control. Who knows if I'm gonna be able to watch the game?" Because these ladies are nuts. They can't stop talking. No, I'm just joking. It wasn't that bad. They were over here for a few minutes, and I saw, the beginning where it was 10-11. It was 10-13. It was nasty, nasty, nasty. So I didn't miss too much. I just know some defense and a lot of missed shots.
It was a gross beginning, and the first possession of the game, Chris Paul barely makes it across the half-court line, and then we get a 24-second violation. When you saw that, did you just say, here we go again?
Yeah. You know what? I was like, no, I was thinking opposite. I was actually kind of like, this is a game where we're going to have to play like this the rest of the whole month until Booker comes back. It's going to have to be this bad. It has to be really ugly. Like, the Suns played good defense, but also the Cavs missed a lot of shots too, a lot of wide open threes.
Mm-hmm.
So they start off slow. When the Suns did get the 24-second violation, I was like, is this going to be the first mistake of many? Are they going to start tearing each other apart because they're not making it up on their own end of the court? Like, they had that meeting where they talked and we heard about that. Let's see if they can hold it together. And they actually kind of did. But I seriously was okay with the way this thing started, because I was like, this is the way they're going to have to play the whole game, man.
Well, talking about the way that this thing started, again, after the first quarter, the final score was 15-14. The Suns had 6 first quarter turnovers, again. They've had 25 points in their last 2 first quarters combined. They continue to be so shitty in the first quarter that it's become contagious, and the Cleveland Cavaliers caught the bug, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that enters this game with a record of 23? What were they? 23-10 entering?
You know what? I don't know. I know
not 23, not 23-10. I'm sorry. 23-14. So 23-14 entering this game. Or 24-14, but a team that's, they're on one right now. They have the offensive firepower, obviously without Darius Garland in this game. But it was so shitty that first quarter. So I was driving home. I was listening to Bloomer on the radio, and I got home right at the end of the first quarter. But the Phoenix Suns went 6 of 17 from the field. The Cleveland Cavaliers went 4 of 16, shot 25%, were 0 of 7 from beyond the arc, but they were 7 of 9 from the free throw line compared to the Suns' 0 free throw attempts. And that's how that first quarter happened. So I'll ask you this. Do you credit the Suns' defense, not only in that first quarter, but in this game? Are we going to start off this podcast with a little positivity and talk about the effort put forth by the Phoenix Suns, or was this simply just a horribly off night for the Cleveland Cavaliers?
It sucks to say where we might be one of those teams that's overlooked now, especially Donovan Mitchell coming off of his 71-point game, and that took 5 quarters. I was thinking when it started, I'm like, this is just a game where even going into halftime where the Cavs might just be missing shots, where they might just be overlooking a sucky Suns team, which is just really missing their best player, and that's it. Are we not competitive enough to where teams really have to put forth an effort and just win at the end of the game like they did tonight, where they had a shitty ass game? I think it was both, though. I think the defense was really good. I think that this is, like I said earlier, a Chris Paul game where you take your time, you kind of hope for some turnovers, you kind of hope for some missed shots, and that you can stay close, and then maybe you can find somebody that can stay hot. And I said that before, where you're going to look for other guys to come in off the bench to score and get you some threes to go up 6 points. Like in the second quarter, where Suns actually reached 24-18, the score is 24-18 in the second quarter, and they get a couple threes to fall. I'm like, okay, this is what they were waiting for. Some guys to get hot, to get some threes to go up. And it was kind of that way the most of the game, where they can kind of fend off the Cavs, where the Cavs would come back and it would be a 2-point game. And then it was just like, well, the defense is doing good, but then we're not getting shots to fall. And you know how explosive the Cavs can be, and that's how it ended. So I think the defense is there for sure. The thing is, when you lose a game like this and you put that much effort, how much are you going to try again next game? Be like, you know what, we lost. We're going to play the Heat, who can beat us. They're not that good of a team, but they're a better team than us right now. But if we put forth this effort, are we just going to lose in the end again? That's what I'm scared of going into the next game.
I look at tonight and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that the Phoenix Suns had the defensive effort, because it was definitely there. They were a little bit more locked in, especially in that first quarter. Now, granted, when you take a look at the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers were 0 of 7 from beyond the arc in the first quarter, I don't credit that to great Suns defense. It's not like they were taking smothering, 3-point shots.
Yeah.
A lot of those were wide open. They were just missing. We know what that's like. It's happened to the Suns, where it's like they're wide open. They just can't hit anything. And for some reason, they continue to go to that well, right? I mean, the Cavaliers in the first quarter took 9 shots inside the arc and 7 shots outside the arc, and they were 0 of 7 from beyond the arc, and the point total that they ultimately garnered was from the free throw line pretty much exclusively throughout the game. That, at least the first 3 quarters, that was what was occurring. I think that the Suns defense was solid, and you look through the first 3 quarters of this game, the Suns had turned the ball over a total of 13 times, and the Cleveland Cavaliers had turned over the ball a total of 11 times. So, pretty even there. The frustrating part about this game is through those first 3 quarters, and note that the Suns were up by 5 entering the final quarter, right? They're up 64-59. But the challenge is that in that fourth quarter, they truly fell apart again defensively, because those 3-pointers, as you mentioned, they started to fall. So through the first 3 quarters, the Cleveland Cavaliers were 5 of 25 from beyond the arc. They're 20%. In the fourth quarter alone, they were 6 of 11, which is 54%. They shot 10 of 18 overall in the quarter, which is 55%. Conversely, the Suns shot 8 of 23, which is 34%. And that's the tail of the tape right there. This team that was locked in, if you will, somewhat defensively the entire game, gave their best effort. Again, it's like you could say lack the depth, but we're not missing too many players anymore. So it's like that is going to be gone here pretty quick, and they pretty much, after everything's said and done, like turnovers were equal. The Suns had more points off those turnovers, but that fourth quarter was owned by the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell woke up. He scored 14 of his how many points did he end with? 20 points. He scored 14 of his 20 in the fourth quarter. Game, set, match. Suns lose.
Yeah, who was that we played a couple games ago? Maybe a couple weeks ago actually. It was it wasn't Bradley Beal. It was another team where their main scorer scored like 2 points the whole game until the fourth quarter and they kind
Bradley
of
Beal
pulled
did
away.
that.
Was it Bradley Beal?
Yeah, I didn't see
Yeah,
the
I guess
game, but I saw the box score.
yeah, it was
He
like
went
2
ape
points.
shit
Yeah,
in the
he just
fourth.
totally did. And that's the way these guys are. You just can't hold them off. And a lot of it was him just like missing shots. You know
Mhm.
what? He was getting to the rim and he was missing layups. He was missing his 3-point attempts. That's the way the Cavs were doing a lot. And this game was so delicate where any kind of mess up, like any kind of missed layup, especially from like a Saric, where you miss a layup and you know it's gonna be a fast break the other way, things like that were just so crucial to where you have to make every shot and get back on defense. The Cavs, I felt like didn't run as much, but it's just the effort the Suns had to put into to kind of stop that. And you kind of saw towards the end of the game where the Suns kind of looked tired, especially kind of Ayton kind of had that body language of I'm fucking tired.
Mhm.
That's why I'm like, dude, if this is like the way you have to play every game just to get a win with Booker being gone, we're not going to win another game. We're not. I don't even care who the opponent is. Like, we're not going to win another game. Like, this is nasty. And I'm, Mikhail, they had some shots go in and out. Shamet had some in and out shots, but
Mhm.
that's the way the Cavs were tonight too. But you just can't play that way. It's hard to match this team.
Yeah, and it just shows you the true value of having a Devin Booker on this team because you have no one who consistently can hit that shot. Chris Paul did everything he could to carry this team, but you don't have that guy who could go mano with a Donovan Mitchell, with a Bradley Beal. You don't have those guys available, and ultimately it allows the opposition to, if you have a lead, to chop away at it, get in the right position, and then take the lead when it matters the most, and that's the end of the game. And it's frustrating to watch this kind of performance. Not nearly as frustrating as it was against the Knicks, because the Knicks, when you just get blown out like that, it's just like everything's wrong. Here, it's just like, God, we can't get the little things right. And when you don't get the little things right and you have to play near perfection at all times, it's no wonder that you've dropped all the way to the 9 seed. It's no wonder that you have more losses this season than you did all of last season. It's no wonder you go on the road and you go 1-5. And that's just the way it is. There's nothing there. The problem, we see it across the fan base right now. For those of you who are engaged on Twitter, for those of you who visit Bright Side of the Sun and you read the comments on the articles, which is something I read all those comments. So if you comment there, I see it. I don't comment much myself, but I notice that. If you go to even the shitty Facebook Suns fans page, the problem that everybody has right now is there's just no hope.
No.
There's no hope. It's even if Devin Booker comes back. I mean, we rode him so hard he got injured to the point where he's at because we had to ride him so hard because the support just isn't there. The roster just isn't clicking. It doesn't make sense. There's no consistency outside of Devin Booker. Chris Paul's old. DA's fumbling and bumbling and inconsistent. Mikal Bridges is the magician who disappears at times on offense. And you just and then you have Jay Crowder, the distress asset, and there's just no hope. And then you hear rumors about Robert Sarver has an ultimate veto on any trade that the Suns have. So it's even if there was, it's just like, I mean, do you have hope?
No, I don't. And when you see Kevin Durant also having a 12-game win streak with you know what I mean? And not to say that we were ever close, but we were close to getting them and we didn't get them. So you think
We
of
were in
those
the
things
conversation.
too. We were going to get them. I don't know what the fuck happened, but the whole Sarver thing is probably what happened. That was probably the thing. But yeah, there's no fluidity at all. There's the trying part of the game where, it's like you have to kind of believe in this team and they have to believe in themselves. But like, why? Where's that coming from where trying is really difficult for this team? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just belief in themselves. They just look so broken. And I'm not saying the first half. I feel like the first half they look like, you know what? Like, we're gonna play as hard as we
Both
can.
teams look broken.
Yeah, but on the Suns end, it's like we just suck anyways. But we're gonna play very, very physical and very hard and see where it gets us. Like saying they suck, I just mean offensively. It's like who are you gonna go to for a score? Especially when you have like Bismack out there with Saric and and I don't know who else, like it's Craig who can't. I mean, Craig can shoot the threes, 39% or something, but like other guys where you just don't think of like we can rely on shots. from this guy. Like it gets kind of disappointing after a while, but it's just what we have. And if they keep playing hard, something good would happen. But the hope part of it is just kind of gone from me until Booker gets back. But even then you have to have for him work back into it. I don't know. It just seems like a long fucking season where I kind of just want it to be over after games like this. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and it's understandable after going through a 1-5 stretch. The team has lost 4 consecutive games. They're coming off of a month which was easily their worst month in quite some time, where they went 5-11. Now they're 0-2 in 2023. So in the past, so 5-11, 5-13, last 18 games, this team is 5-13. Like, that's bad basketball. That's consistently bad basketball. It's not like, we're a team that essentially is nearing 500. And if you go through and you look at some of the 500 teams, you look like the New York Knicks. They're a team that kind of New York Knicks might not be the best example because they're a streaky team. They run off 8, they lose 5. They win 4, they lose 3. But there's some teams around the 500 mark who are just up and down. They're consistently inconsistent. The challenge with the Phoenix Suns is they were consistently good at the front end of the season. Now they're consistently bad. So obviously, when you get down in these lulls of the season, you're going to sound depressed. You're going to sound like you need a therapist. You're going to be in the live chat and just putting in the suicide hotline for us because it's a challenge right now. And we have no semblance of consistency. We have no semblance of offense. We can't seem to figure it out. The team, again, that's how I felt when I watched or I listened to the first game of the play of the game, and I listened to Bloomer, and Chris Paul's taking his time, finally gets over the time stripe, takes our whole offense. We're already 8 seconds behind, and then we get a 24 shot clock violation. I'm like, don't you plan the first fucking play? Don't you plan it? Like, okay, the first play, here's what we're going to do. It's not like, all right, here we go, guys. We're going to bleed the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like imagine having your football team and you're sitting there and you're all excited. It's the first play of the game. They just take a knee. The first play, you're like, what the fuck was that? And that's kind of a personification of how I feel about this team right now.
It's when you're watching Chris Paul go to the time stripe. It's like watching him just run for the end zone, run for the pylon with 2 seconds left in the game. It's the last play. There's a defender meeting him right there. And you're like, come on. When he's basically walking it up or backing it up, it's like its own game in itself, trying to get it to that other side of the court where you have to begin your offense. So we did talk about, Cameron Payne starting. Now he's kind of hurt. I guess he didn't come back. But
yeah.
Chris Paul, I mean, he held it together, but he got lucky in this game where it just was a game. It was an actual game till halftime, till the third quarter. So he looked better. He played better because when the game's going fast and their team's scoring, you're down by 18. He can't do anything about it.
Can't. There's just nothing. Can't. And I think it's a great word. You literally can't do anything about it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what do you think of the Suns' effort tonight? Let's talk about that because I think one of the challenges that we've had recently with this team is we just don't see the effort. The first quarter has been abysmal. The last 15 games, they're last in the league in plus minus. They're last in efficiency. They're last in field goal percentage. They're without Devin Booker, they're averaging 5 or 6 less points per game. What do you feel about their effort overall in this evening?
I think it's there. I think it was there tonight, and I don't know if it was really there in the past, but there's only a few players I can point out and be like, the effort's not there. I talked about after every game almost, where since Booker's been out, where these guys off the bench have effort. They want to play. They want to win these games. But there's only their ceiling's so low. They can't do more than what they do. And if one gets hot, then you can ride that. But that's not going to happen every game. You can see where Washington Jr. comes in and they try to get him going in the second half, but he's missing everything. So there's only a certain amount that they can do on the court and hold this lead. If they have a lead of 8 to 10 points, they can't do any more than that. The effort's there. It just depends who it's from. It's mostly our stars that we look out for the effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
To win these games. And it just wasn't there really in the past. Tonight, I feel like it was there till the end.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I do too. I think that The one thing that gives me some semblance of hope is the fact that I saw effort tonight, and you have to hold on to the little things. You have to hold on to the little things. Yeah, you do.
Are you
That's where we're
scared it's
at.
going to go away though? Like, are you scared going into the next
Yeah,
game? It's like, dude, we gave
I
it
gotta
all and
see
we
it. I
still
gotta
lost
see
by
it
2 points.
consistently. I
I
gotta see
know.
it consistently.
I know.
So you talk about Chris Paul.
The point guard.
Overall in this game, Chris Paul, definitely a solid performance. He was 9 of 17 from the field, shot the most points for the Phoenix Suns. He played 40 minutes tonight. 25 total points. He had 8 assists. He had 2 steals. Obviously, Cameron Payne got injured. Foot issue again, it sounds like. Played a total of 9 minutes. He was 1 of 5. The effort, when we talk about effort, I thought we saw some amazing effort from Chris Paul. He was aggressive. It was one of his best games since it was his return. The only other game he played better was the one in which he was 4 of 6 from the field in the first quarter against the Lakers and had 14 points. In this one, he had 14 at the half, hit the buzzer beater, which always makes me excited.
Did you think we were going to win when he hit that? I was like, oh, that
no,
might
I don't.
be...
I never think we're
Okay.
going to win anymore. I was like, oh, cool. This is going to set us up for another point guard. The one thing I noticed tonight, dude's got no lift left, dude. He's so crafty. He's so crafty, but like he has the same amount of lift on a jump shot that I have. And it's just that's what's, when you see him play 40 minutes in a loss, like that's frustrating too, because it's like it's the most unsustainable thing on this team is to have Chris Paul play 40 minutes a night and try to carry this team for a 5-game stretch. Give us 5 games, Chris Paul, because it's just unsustainable. Again, his craftiness and his basketball IQ allows him to get that final total of 24 points in this game, or I'm sorry, 25 points. But at the same time, like it's unsustainable, and it just was kind of ugly. It was kind of an ugly 25 just because it's hard for him to do it. It's like me trying to score 25.
Yeah, every shot is him hanging off a side of a cliff, trying to throw it up like 30 feet or 30 stories to try to. That's what it seemed like. It was a lot of strain.
It looked like somebody who's like halfway down a mountain and they're like trying to throw rope up to the top to somebody.
Yeah,
like, save me.
It was a terrifying situation either way. I mean, him trying to shoot the ball, but the thing is, like he got a little hot after he made that 3 and they got up by 6 in the second.
Mm-hmm.
Since that point, he was making basically everything he was throwing up. It looked better. It didn't look like old Chris Paul, but there was a time by like the 7-minute mark, a little bit above that in the fourth quarter, where he looked kind of like, oh, he's gonna maybe end this game for us, but it was kind of too early.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, damn, if this was happening maybe with 5 minutes left, we might have won that game.
But it was like 8 minutes left.
It was like 8 minutes where
I
he
know
was
exactly
hot.
what you're talking
yeah,
about.
and I was like, damn, dude, I just wish it was 2 minutes later in the game or 3 minutes, because then maybe it's over. But because it was so early, I'm like, we're not going to take this, because we're going to do the thing like we did where we'll go to Ayton a few times and that'll probably work, but then we'll go away from it and then no one can really hit their shot. I don't know. It was just difficult to watch at times, but I like the effort. It's kind of like the LeBron James thing where you're going to get a 40-minute game and you're going to still lose because of the surroundings he has. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and in that fourth, 3 of 5 from the field, he had 8 total points. He had a rebound, a couple assists, 1 of 2 from beyond the arc. He hit both of his free throws. I mean, he had a solid fourth, but all that was done outside of like 3 minutes left. And he played all 12 minutes in that fourth. It was him and Landry Shamet. And Landry's the one who went 2 of 7 and had 6 points, both of those off 3-pointers, but also a couple fouls. It was just, it's not sustainable. That's my big thing with him. It's my big thing. It's like you said, it hurt me watching it at times. I'm like, oh man, he can't get any lift. I tweeted it from the Suns Jam Session account. I'm like, no lift, Chris. Like that's my new nickname for him. Dude has no lift in it.
Even that 3 he made, the buzzer beater, it was like his feet were on the ground. He shot it like a 7-footer. His feet were just on the ground.
Like bull out there taking shots. You know? But I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, that's what you're trying to rely on right now is him and Landry Shamet in the fourth quarter, knowing that the opposition knows that too. And the guy that you could go through is DeAndre Ayton.
Ayton watch.
DeAndre Ayton in this game, very solid, 15 points, 18 total boards. He was 7 of 12 from the field, a total of 5 missed shots. 3 of those came in the final quarter. 2 of those, I think, were off on like an offensive rebound. But DeAndre Ayton in this game, turning the ball over a little bit. I think that was one of my frustrating things. He had 3 turnovers, and some of them were just like, here's the DeAndre Ayton story. Here's what I noticed tonight. So you have early in the game, you have Chris Paul, got Landry Shamet, and they're driving to the rim and they're feeding DA, right? Like they're doing that thing where you attack the basket, you draw the defense, and then you kind of do the wraparound pass to DA, and he just, oh shit. He's like a cat with a ball, just like, oh shit, and he fumbles it, right?
Yeah.
So what I noticed as the game progressed is Mikal Bridges, Landry Shamet, both these guys are attacking the basket, and they have opportunities. Like DA's just standing there in the paint. And the defenders collapse on whoever's driving, whether it be Mikal or Landry. And both times they threw the ball up and missed the shot rather than pass it to DA. That's the challenge with DA. When we sit there and we observe it and we go, hey, we wish that DeAndre Ayton had a little bit better grip on the ball sometimes. And like, don't get me wrong, like the grip was great tonight, 18 boards. We'll talk about that momentarily. Like kudos to him. But I think that he loses the faith of his team when he does those kind of things. Cause like, dude, like we feed you, entry passes are dog shit, but sometimes we'll feed you and it'll hit you right in the hands. You'll just drop it or you'll bring it down. Like there was one play in the second quarter in which DeAndre dunked it because he got a good entry pass and he grabbed the ball and he brought it down and then he looked around. He's like, oh shit, no one's around me. And then he dunked it. And I'm like, all that time, that's when the ball gets swatted all the time. Like,
yep.
He doesn't just react. And it's just who he is, but it's just an observation.
Yeah. He just needs these games. This is the guy that I'm worried about that might fall off. A lot of effort tonight, looked good. I think towards the end of the game, he didn't play 40. He played 36, 37 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Towards the end of the game, yeah, he needs this. He looked tired. His body language was all right, but it kind of showed me on the court like I'm tired, and there's just a weird thing about him towards the end of the games where the end of this game, good game, but towards the end of this game where it just looked like, dude, I'm fucking tired. This is a lot. But then he was owning freaking
Jared Allen.
Like Jared Allen's probably the best defender, one of the best defenders at that position, right?
Yeah.
Ayton had his way with him.
Oh, yeah. He got him on pin downs.
Dude, there was nothing, but it was effortless. He was moving his body. He was gaining position. He was fighting for stuff, but he was doing it the right way where he wouldn't get the foul called. That was like, what the fuck? Like, this is awesome. Like, keep doing that. And that's the thing with him is like, he needs these reps like this kind of game where he's going to have the physicality. He's going to have the attempts. He's going to have a lot of looks. Like he had the ball, I feel like, a lot tonight, but he needs to continue to do this every fucking night because he'll get more comfortable. Because you can see sometimes when he's down there, like he said, the little pump fakes, even when he's going up, like that one where he kept getting blocked and called a jump ball, even that one, you can tell how nervous he gets when he has the ball in his eye. You can tell. He just gets a little nervous. He gets a little flustered because he knows what he does is always goes down and he can't stop that. It's just a reaction he always has. Yep. So he needs to get like at least 5 to 7 touches down there to where he's just going straight up. And if he continues to do that every game, 5 to 7 is not that bad, I feel like 5 to 7 times you get the ball down there, make your move, go to the rim, and just continue to do that. Continue to play this kind of game every game. You're not going to always have the same results where you have the 18 rebounds. You might get 24 points one night or so, but tonight I don't even care about the points. The effort was there. That's all I care about.
That's what I care about.
When Booker comes back and you're more comfortable with everything that's happening, and when you're getting the ball and he talks about the defenders coming over, there's 3 of them or 4 of them, you'll know what to do. But it just has to be on him to continue to play like this every night, not take like the last 2 games where he took those nights off. He's fucking sucked. Mm-hmm. And then now he's back to playing DeAndre Ayton basketball. He just has to do it. Out of everybody on this team, he has to be this guy every night in order to get better. Yeah,
and it was great to see him. It was great to see him constantly on the boards. And the key was the effort on the box outs. That's what I was noticing, was the effort on the box out. It was taking, as you mentioned, it was taking Jared Allen just completely out of the play. He did such a solid box out, and it looked like, especially at the beginning of the game, he was boxing out Jared Allen to open up rebounding for Torrey Craig. And ultimately, it deterred Jared Allen enough to where he stopped giving effort. I'm like, oh my God, it looks like DA some nights where he gets boxed out a few times, like, well, fuck it. What's the point? The guy's going to get me every time, so I'm going to stop trying. That's what he looked like, so it was really impressive to see him do that. I like what No Good says in the chat. This is a good statement. And thank you for hanging out with us. No
Yeah,
Good.
he always has good
And
stuff
all
to
of you.
say. All of you have good stuff
All
to
of you
say.
do.
Keep
All of
saying
you
it.
do. Keep saying it. We appreciate it. He says, DA was looking great in the pick and roll when we were dropping it immediately after the roll. The passer's taking too long for the pass, and by that time, there's no opening. And that's where I get frustrated, especially with Chris Paul sometimes, is Chris Paul, he's the king of the pick and roll. And when he pops that ball in there quick, like DA gets it and he'll attack. But I feel like there'll be one time where in the pick and roll, Chris Paul will try to hit DA. It'll be a little bit low. DA will try to go down, or he'll fumble it, and he's just not. I think DA likes to, when the pick and roll happens, I think DA, he's looking for the alley-oops. Like, that's what he's looking for. He's looking for that high pass. And I feel like Chris Paul, whoever's running the PNR with him, if they're trying to get that pocket pass to him and he fumbles it once, they figure he's not going to be ready for it again. And by the time they can give it to him, it's too late. And the opposition is either collapsed on it, they've dropped on it, or they have a weak side defender come and take him out of the play.
Yeah, I totally agree. And DA doesn't have that move yet. He shows it a few times. Tonight he did a little bit of a back down kind of spin thing against Allen, and it looked good. He just never does it. So if he has that in his arsenal where he can just pull that out, where he gets the ball in the pick and roll, does a quick spin like a Amari Stoudemire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta just relax. It's not like Tom Chambers over here telling him, it's just saying this is what I think he should do, but it's not him. You know what I mean? So if he had that, they'd be more comfortable. But when he gets the ball in that spot, it's a really uncomfortable situation where if he doesn't have a move, you're either gonna get a charge or you're gonna end up turning the ball over, which happens a lot. So the alley-oop is the safest thing. It just sucks that we're so limited just to that.
I wish there was more off that PNR this team could do, because you're right.
It's
Back in the
crazy.
Amari days, they could do 30 things off that PNR, and this, it's just like it's going to be a midi by Chris Paul. He's gonna kick it out. If somebody collapses on him, he's going to kick it out to there, and like 3 times out of 10 he's actually going to pass it to DeAndre Ayton. But again, if you're looking for reasons why the Phoenix Suns lost tonight, I'll tell you one thing: it was not DeAndre Ayton. So y'all can put that in your pipe and smoke it, because that's a lot of the divisiveness that's going on right now within the Suns fan base. Is a lot of people are starting to draw those lines on DeAndre Ayton, because guess what? It's easy not to draw lines on DeAndre Ayton when the team's winning, and you're like, yeah, but like it doesn't matter. They're not winning, or they're winning, and he's still only given X amount of points, X amount of shot attempts, X amount of field goal percentage. But when you start to lose, you really start pointing those fingers, and this is where we know that DeAndre Ayton is polarizing. And for those of you who are on Twitter, 1, follow the show at Suns Jam, and 2, like just search Ayton and see how people just start going off on each other. Some people think that he can do no wrong. Some people think he can do no right. And it's like I always look at DeAndre Ayton like politics, man. Some people just fall into gangs and like they're like, dude, no matter what, I agree with everything Republicans do, or I agree with everything that Democrats do. It's like, if you agree with everything that a Republican or a Democrat does, you're an idiot, because there's pros and cons to everything. The same thing with DeAndre Ayton. There's pros to his game and there's cons to his games. As you mentioned, he played 36 tonight and he was dogged. Did you know that DeAndre Ayton this year is averaging his least amount of minutes per game at 29.1? 29.1.
Yeah,
fucking
his
bullshit.
His stats are kind of down from last year too.
Yeah.
But that's the frustrating part, is I think a lot of it, like you said, it's divided, but a lot of it's just kind of holding him accountable. And like people feel so bad about even doing that because they get yelled at for it, which is weird, because I feel like a guy like him remember when he was playing and he was dunking the ball this year, when he was playing the game of basketball with Devin Booker, and they looked fucking awesome, and he was dunking the ball like for a week straight, getting the crowd into it.
Yeah,
that's what frustrates you, because
we were in Texas.
Oh, dude, yeah, that was DA. That was what we want. So we're gonna get different DAs throughout the season, but you want more now because you need him to win the game, and a game like this is the reason why we almost won this game, because he played his ass off for the majority until he got fucking dog shit tired, which he needs to work himself into this shape to where he can just take over. When Chris Paul in that big butt is okay, and he doesn't need a little steroid shot in that big booty of his to keep going in the fourth quarter, you should be okay towards the end of the game. And I'm saying, fat butt over here sitting here, but this is my job right here, just to talk shit.
Yeah, if I ever met Chris Paul, I would never admit to the fact that I shared a podcast with somebody who said about shots in his big booty hole. But enough about DA. Let's talk about some DK promos. You looking to make some cold, hard cash? Visit the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Who doesn't love a good same-game parlay? Download the app now, sign up with code TBPN, place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code TBPN, only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Win enough money, and who knows, Jamsters, maybe we can buy the franchise from Robert Sarver. We've talked about this a little bit in the past, and I thought I'd bring it up again because we have McCoy in the chat. Shout out to McCoy. So that's why JJ should have picked Halliburton. Fire James Jones. What do you think about that, Matthew?
I think the draft is tough. And you can't, I don't like going back to the draft, be like, oh, we should have fucking got this guy when no one knew how those guys would really turn out, right? Everyone had their favorite. But those guys, I mean, if you're talking Luka Ayton, maybe that's something, but not the whole Halliburton. No, I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah,
what do you think, John?
Well, I just... When you experience a little bit of hardship, everyone wants to fire James Jones all of a sudden. I don't get it. He missed on Halliburton. So what? So do the other 9 GMs ahead of him,
Yeah.
like how many people missed on Giannis? I guess we fire all those GMs. I just think that we always want a permanent solution to like a temporary problem. And I just think that I see that in comments like what McCoy provided are started to become commonplace, where it's just like, yeah, Aussie Suns fans, thank you. This is money. We need to just get the fuck over it. We didn't select him. Move the fuck on. And they don't say it, but I'll say, you cunts. Like, just, we didn't, it's like you can't dwell on it. We have certain people who pop in this chat and Luka will have a great game. They're like, should have drafted Luka. I'm like, okay, 5 years ago, get over it. Like, we didn't. Like, do you just want to live in this fantasy land? The only thing that I wake up every now and then, I wake up and I wonder if maybe I'm living in an alternate reality, is if Karis LeVert hadn't missed or had made that shot back in the bubble, and we could have just seen the 8-0 bubble Suns with Ricky Rubio have a shot in those playoffs. It's the only thing I really wish would have happened. Like, fuck the draft picks. Okay. We should have selected Luka over DeAndre Ayton. We should have taken Tyrese Halliburton. You know what? We took Devin Booker, at 13 overall.
Yeah.
We could have missed on that one.
He's the best player from that draft, right? Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns.
Easily. They showed like the most 30-point performances from people from that draft, and he's got like 160, and the next guy's got like 80. He like doubles up on him. So again, it's just like, at what point do you just accept what your reality is, or do you just sit and try to point fingers forever as to why you don't have success? Because guess what? At the end of every season, there's 29 teams that don't win a championship. So do we just consistently fire the 29 GMs who didn't win it? I tweeted something out today. I thought it was I laughed at my own tweet afterwards. It's like, I wonder how Igor Kokoshkov or Earl Watson would be managing these rotations right now. I was like, does anyone ever wonder that? And I'm like, yeah, me neither. Because everyone's like, oh, well, fire James or fire Monty Williams. This team's lost 5 out of their last 18, or they've won 5 out of their 18. It's like, it's just what your reality is, man.
It's
or do you blame the past, or you focus on what to fix it on the future? I feel like when you and I sit here and we have conversations about our frustrations with the Phoenix Suns, we're trying to be like those productive people who are problem solvers. It's like, well, what can we do to get this team where it needs to be? Is it an acquisition? What does Monty Williams need to do? What does Ayton need to do? What is, versus being like, well, none of this would matter if Luka was around. Be solution-based people.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's not at all, because, I mean, he has his own issues in Dallas too. I mean, the thing is, he's scoring a ton of points, and I love Luka. I think they should have chosen Luka over Ayton, of course. But the thing is, like, Dallas has a lot of issues. And the thing is, in the NBA, things are going to turn around so quickly. I mean, I brought up the Nets earlier. The Nets were going to blow it up. Everyone was traded. Now they're on a 12-game winning streak. They look like the favorites to win the title if they can hold it together. It took coaching. It took a lot of different. It took Kevin Durant calling out his teammates and then them stepping up. You know what I mean? So we had the meeting. They had the meeting. We ended up losing a game. And if we would have won, we would have been like, hey, that meeting might have worked with the coaches. DA talking about everyone knows their role. They look like they knew their role tonight. They're not going to make every fucking shot because we don't have really real true scorers on the team except for Lee, maybe, and then who else? I don't know. Who?
But how much
Jr.? Who knows?
But like, how much Damian Lee did we get tonight? 16 minutes. He shot it 4 times. How much Josh Okogie did we get tonight? None.
Yeah. So
what does that tell you?
What's with and that's the one thing where coaching can be frustrating. It's not fireable, but when you have Okogie and you have Washington Jr., which we know, I hate this. I hate this so much because that podcast I had where I'm like, I loved Okogie and Washington Jr. running the backcourt. It was so fun to watch, and then you never saw it again. I hate that. I hate that.
Again, you take a look at James Jones, and here's the other thing, right? I mean, it was reported earlier this week. I forget who reported. I just read Dave King's piece on it on Bright Side of the Sun. I think it was, what's Cleveland's fat boy?
Fat boy?
Reporter. Windhorst.
Oh.
Brian Windhorst said that Robert Sarver has veto power over any trade. We've talked about this a little bit because this is another thing. People are dogging James Jones because he hasn't done shit with Jay Crowder. And am I frustrated that Jay Crowder is still a ball and chain on this team and it's January 4th? I am, but you have to kind of look at the bigger picture. Any trade that James Jones attempts to make, Robert Sarver can simply veto. And we don't know what that means. Robert Sarver's an asshole. He might veto things just to veto things, right? It's something that the Ishbias won't be, or Ishbia, Matt Ishbia and Justin Ishbia won't take over this team till after February, the trade deadline, which is a month away. So James Jones is somewhat handcuffed in this situation.
Yeah.
He's somewhat handcuffed. This is a franchise in flux that's in the process of being purchased by new managing partners. They're not going to try. He's not going to try to rock the boat, I feel, too much in an effort to try to move a lot of monies around, considering that these guys are going to come in and they're going to do their own thing. The other side of that equation is his neck might be on the chopping board because they might want to bring in their own guys. That's what new ownership does. So he's not going to go out there and try to give them any reason to do so. Hey, man, you mismanaged this asset. And that could be not moving Jay Crowder, right? I mean, the argument goes both ways. But part of that is, hey, you mismanaged this asset. You took this and this, and you only got us this in return. You're done. So there's a lot of things most likely behind the scenes that we're not privy to as to why Jay Crowder hasn't been moved and James Jones hasn't done anything. Take also into account that Jay Crowder hasn't done anything to help his stock in what he's done. You're a team that's trying to take on this guy for $10 million for half of the year now, and he already showed you he's a big fucking baby. Like, you want to bring that into your team that's trying to win? That's a no-go. So again, once again, the Phoenix Suns, in typical Phoenix Suns fashion, are stuck with an asset that's not going to garner the return that we feel is necessary, or even James Jones feels is necessary, and he's not going to give, 2 nickels and a dime for 20 cents on this one.
Yeah, and if you're not too careful too on Twitter, I feel like a lot of these owners might be looking at Twitter and seeing what's going on and just seeing like, hey, a lot of these fans don't want James Jones. They don't want Monty Williams as a coach. So if they see that, they don't watch or listen to Suns podcasts. They don't watch the Suns probably. Who knows?
No.
They know nothing about the Suns the past 2 years. They probably know they went to the finals or something, but they don't know the fan base. They don't know what we like, what we dislike. So if they're on Twitter and they see that you're bashing James Jones, so they might be like, you know what, maybe we got to take a look at this guy. Maybe he's not it. So be careful, because I like James Jones. I'm a big James Jones believer. It's just a lot of bad luck this year, man. It's a lot of bad luck. And whatever Chris Paul and Devin Booker did with the Kardashians and the elites to deserve this, maybe they backed away. They're like, we don't want this. We don't want any part of this, and this is why we're suffering.
And Bees asks in the chat, he goes, can Adam Silver call an emergency meeting for the board? I'm sure he can, but why would he? Like, you don't want to set a precedent with
For
other
what?
owners.
Just
An
for
emergency meeting for the board and just take over control, kind of like what Bud Selig did with the Milwaukee Brewers years and years ago, where he just took over the team. He's like, I'm going to take it over to the new owners here because you guys are incompetent. You know, Robert Sarver hasn't done anything to say he's incompetent, but he could cock block us essentially for the remainder of the season, distressing his asset as he counts his money in fucking Aruba or wherever he's going to be. I've never met, and it still drives me crazy that you're somebody who can purchase. And this is just a side, because all this entire podcast is just a side note. It's already 50 minutes in, you know, but it's like, I don't understand how in this day and age, how you can have an asset that he bought for like $480 million. He's going to sell it for $4 billion after sexually harassing people, making misogynistic statements, racist remarks. And his reward is going to be, you know, like 1,000% return on his investment. It's just unfucking believable to me. But that's a different conversation for a different time. Let's talk about Landry Shamet or something. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, we can't talk about Shamet. I liked him tonight, dude.
All right, well, here we go.
All I can say is, Sham, wow.
Were you
Boy.
hustle? Well,
Yeah. Speaking of bad luck, I feel like he just had a lot of shots go in and out, but he was fucking tearing. I thought he was tearing up, but that's Shamet, man. The harder he tries, the less luck he has, and he can't help your team win. He'll score, 32 points in 2 games. You go 0-2. That reverse lay-in he had was beautiful. It went in and out.
Went in and out, man.
Never seen one go in and out like that ever in my life. He had a lot of bad luck. Defense was great. He's kind of back to playing the way he was before the injury, and then like the week before that where he kind of sucked. He's like that guy now. So continue, I feel like, to start him and just continue to ride on him. I think you ride him till the bed breaks, dude, until Booker comes back.
I completely agree.
And you won't win a game.
You know, 14, I know shit.
Win fucking
12 shot attempts, 14 total points for Landry Shamet. But as you mentioned, a lot of things were just kind of in and out. He hit a big 3. I mean, Donovan Mitchell hit a 3, put them up 88-85. He came down and hit a 3 that tied it. And ultimately, it was that final shot by Mitchell that won the game for this team. You know, but Landry Shamet was looking pretty good. And again, I think that, you know, as you mentioned, you continue to just ride him as much as you can, knowing that you're not going to win anything along the way. That's just the way it is. Black Sunday in the chat, $2 in the super chat. We truly appreciate that. It says, explain to me why Okogie, Jock, and Dwayne Washington Jr. get 0 minutes. I can't. I have no idea. This is the last game of a road trip. This is one of those ones where you could really empty the bench. I don't know if Monty was just like, you know what? We're playing good defense. Again, we held the Cleveland Cavaliers to 15 points in the first quarter and 18 points in the second quarter. You know, we outscored them 29-18. So everything was working for the first 3 quarters. I don't see them drastically changing up their strategy in the fourth quarter as Donovan Mitchell starts to heat up. Would it have been beneficial to maybe bring in Okogie for about 5 minutes in the fourth, try to lock down Donovan Mitchell? Maybe, but hindsight's 20/20. And looking back, it's still a bit fuzzy.
Yeah, these guys disappear. And Dario Saric, I mean, if he played a decent game.
Dario.
It was decent for Dario, so maybe because of that.
2 or 3 from
for that reason, maybe that's why Jock didn't play. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if Sarge comes out and he's hitting the floor but not scoring or drawing a foul before he hits the floor, then he's taken out. If he's just out there rolling around, then he's taken out, and we can see more Jock. But tonight he was decent. And
think of this. You're going to keep Dario out there because Monty's strategy was working. The strategy in this game was, I'm starting Dario, I'm starting DeAndre Ayton, because they've got Evan Mobley and they've got Jared Allen. So they have size on the interior, so I'm going to match that size. And our size won. Okay, if you look at the combined stats of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen this game, they combined for a total of 16 rebounds, which DA had 18 alone. Dario had 4. And they combined for a total of 8 points, whereas DA had 10 or had 15. Dario had 10. So we won the front court battle. And that's something that I was really shocked. I thought they would own us on the glass. The Phoenix Suns out-rebounded the Cleveland Cavaliers 49-46. We had one more offensive rebound than they had, 8-7. And if you look at the overall second chance points in this game for both teams, the Suns had 9, the Cleveland Cavaliers had 8. So the reason we didn't see some of those different variations in those smaller lineups is our big lineups worked in this game. the team just ran out of gas at the back end. It's just the way it is. So I do want to say I did spend a little bit of time on the subreddit for the Cleveland Cavaliers, which, if I remember correctly, is the least populated subreddit in all of Reddit. They have 74,000 fans on that one, which I think is one of maybe two that have under 100,000 subscribers to their subreddit. But this is what they had to say on the subreddit Stakeout. The Suns Jam Session subreddit Stakeout. So there I was, hanging out in Cleveland. Believeland, baby. I was hanging out with what are up with those jerseys they were wearing tonight, by the way?
The Land?
I don't like them. The Land with the little C.
I don't like the logo. I kind of like the court though. I thought the court looked kind of nice. I don't like the jerseys though.
Yeah, I didn't like them either.
Very nice.
End of the first quarter, it was 15-14. Somebody said, "Wait, I tuned into a 1960s game." I thought that was valid. This is the kind of game you want Mobley to take it to the next, or take it to the next level. We need offense. Unfortunately, that isn't happening. And somebody responded, that'd require LeVert to pass the ball. So even a team like them, as we know, everyone bitches about their team. Somebody said, relax, boys. They suck too. Referencing the Phoenix Suns. Yeah.
They do suck.
If you remember, there was the play where Landry Shamet kind of reacted and threw his head back after Evan Mobley's elbow. Yeah. They reviewed it. And then they said it was an inadvertent whistle. Somebody said inadvertent whistle. No, you were just wrong. Like, why can't they just say that? Why can't the referees, why can't the officials just one time just go, oops, we messed up on that? They're like, no, it was an inadvertent whistle. He breathed out when he meant to breathe in on the play.
I see. I thought that's what that means. Inadvertent is just meaning like we're ready to blow the whistle. We did too soon.
Yeah,
right?
But it's just like the way that you phrase it is no accountability, in my personal opinion. It's a lack of accountability, and that's just the issue. So this is a good statement right here, okay? This gives you a true understanding how the Cavs fans perceive themselves, because whoever wrote this, I thought did a really good job of kind of holistically letting us know how Cleveland feels about themselves, knowing that this is a team that we're going to play in 2 games. Says horrendous half, yes. Worst I've seen since the 2010-11 team that lost like 112 to 57 against the Laker lineup that had Manny Harris in the starting lineup. However, everybody's missing shots, and we played terrific D in the first half. The offense, no matter how good of a playbook you have, will look awful if you can't make anything. We scored 145 last game. It's just not hitting this half. Also, y'all are out to kill Mobley like he's not an amazing generational talent, 21 years old, who has only played 105 career games, and this is his first game back since Indiana. And y'all want to trade LeVert every half of every game, and then he always makes big plays or timely shots in crunch time. Just cool it. Stop acting like Browns Redditors. This team is awesome. Oh, that was a great.
I like that a lot, especially the LeVert thing is really true. He's a guy I always believe in, and he can come through, and he can be kind of selfish with the ball sometimes, like this is his team. But I love his confidence, and I think he does hit big shots, and he's a player that's kind of under the radar. I feel like a lot of times.
Well, and again, they were trashing him like the whole first half. He's a ball hog. He's doing this. He's doing that.
Yeah, he can be.
He can be, but like
so is Mitchell.
So is Devin Booker. No one ever calls Devin Booker a ball hog, but like he's our ball hog. Every team has to have a ball hog. Karis LeVert in this game ends with 21 points, 2 steals, 2 assists, 6 rebounds, 7 of 11 from the field. So he's efficient. And like, again, I think he's a really solid player. And it was just interesting that person had said that. Here we go. This is referencing Raul Neto. Remember him? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Do you remember the game in the bubble? The Suns had like 2 warm-up games, right? And one thing I believe was against the Washington Wizards, or whoever he was playing with at the time, and he went fucking ape shit on us. I'll never forget that about that guy. And somebody said top players of all time: 1 LeBron, 2 Jordan, 3 Neto. These last 2 minutes.
Yeah, every time there was a cutscene and someone hits a 3, it was always him, or someone doing anything. It was always Neto.
Son of a bitch. Can someone please tell me how Chris Paul's slow fossil ass is able to play like he's 10 years younger against us suddenly? And then there was the play around the end of the game where Donovan Mitchell kind of slipped and it looked like he pulled his groin. Somebody's like, I will personally ice Don's nuts. Damn, he's going to feel that slip tomorrow morning. So
yeah.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The subreddit Stakeout. The Suns Jam Session subreddit Stakeout. All right, let's jam star up in this bitch.
Jam star of the game.
All right, Jamsters, reminder, subscribe, rate, and review. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it right here on the pod, which we will do momentarily. Matthew, I think it's my turn to go first. I am 100% saying DeAndre Ayton on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go DeAndre. The other guy was Shamet. If Shamet would have made 3 more buckets,
We
that
would
would
have won.
Jam Star, and we would have won.
We would have won the game.
Those
Plain
should
and
have fucking
simple.
went in.
So.
Yep.
Oh, vey. Next up for the Phoenix Suns, they come home finally Friday, 8 p.m. They are playing the Miami Heat. I'll be at this game. I'm finally going to a Suns game. So it's going to be you and Suns Geek. You'll be doing it.
Yes.
Maybe I'll check in briefly from the stadium. No autographs while I'm at the stadium, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, leave him alone this time. Let him enjoy. He's just a regular person, dudes.
I'll be sitting up in the upper level because I'm poor. We don't get a lot of super chats anymore, so no one donates enough to the pod where I can get nice seats. So
shame on you, Jamsters.
But I'll tell you, this is my first Suns game, I think, since game 2 of the NBA Finals. That's the last Suns game I went to.
You sure?
I didn't go to one last year.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm the only one that went to 3 because you were gone all the time, and then you probably felt bad to take a game off because you were never on for like the first 2 months. It was like 4 games or something. So,
well, I missed every Friday because I was flying, and they were doing those orange fucking crush Fridays every goddamn Friday.
Yeah, but then you probably felt bad, like I can't miss a game or whatever. But yeah, this year, just relax a little bit. This year we need to relax and go to some games. Maybe the tickets are cheaper. Who knows?
Well, and one thing, Jamsters, we'll throw this out there. You know, Brightside Night is a coming. That's going to be January 30th. If you donate $150, you're going to send 10 kids to go to the game. And right now it's 3 for 1. So if you go to suns.com/brightside, you can donate and send kids. And if you do $150, like Matthew and I did, we combined to do it. It gives you 2 upper level tickets. So Matthew and I will be at that game. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do relative to a podcast, if at all, after that game.
Maybe we can go to a place after or something.
Or maybe we can do it from the court. Like, Dave, get us down on the court.
Yeah, he can work something out, right?
Well, they always have a big group picture for the Brightside Night afterwards on the court. Okay. So maybe we can do some of it down there, and it's just you and I walking around from different sides. Then we meet in the middle, and we're like, high five.
Yeah, let's do that.
But do it, Jamsters. Let's go to that game. Let's all go to that game. Let's all go have a good time. But I'll be not present for the podcast on this one. It'll be you and Suns Geek. Win for the Suns coming home?
No, I think tonight was the chance to get the win.
Fuck.
I
want to go see a game.
I don't know. Actually, you know what? I think it's going to be one of those games you're going to go to and you're going to go and you're like, damn, dude, look at this court. It looks so fucking awesome. It's the first time seeing this court, right? Or no, they use a fucking old court for this one, regular court. I was thinking this is like their city one.
No.
You'll walk in and I'll clear my throat after the podcast. I'm done talking. That's all I got to say.
Well, there you go. Great stuff. God damn it. Let's see. What else do we have? So one thing before we get out of here, I thought this was kind of funny. You know how at the beginning of the season, we're talking about all the City Edition stuff? Yes. I'm like, I will not spend a red cent on anything City Edition. Here I am rocking like my favorite new Suns hat. It's this, it's all black. It's got the blue City Edition logo with the 22 tribes of Arizona. I think it's really cool. And I just thought I ended up spending a red cent.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm gonna get a gift card for Nike. I think I'm gonna get some shirts on there. They have some nice Sun shirts on Nike.
Do they?
Nike.com, yeah.
We got to reach out and see if Nike wants to be a sponsor of the show. We're
they
big
should.
Time now. So.
Why not?
Yeah,
we'll
yeah, come on, just do it.
Just do it.
On that note, Jamsters, again, thanks for hanging out with us after this game. Another rough one for the Suns, but we will endure. Hopefully I get to see a victory in person because the last game I went to, they won. It was the last game they won that season. So until next time, Jamsters, thanks for hanging out with us on the Suns Jam Session podcast, brought to you by the Basketball Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, hit that thumbs up button. Oh, I gotta read our review. What am I doing here?
Yes, please do.
So the newest 5-star review on Apple Podcasts comes from KG. I can't even read. KJD 1960 ! He goes, real fanatics, tune into the Suns Jam Session podcast. And he goes, I've listened to most of your 400 shows, and I want to thank you sincerely for the entertainment you provide. I don't think there's any other TV show, podcast, or YouTube channel that I spend more time with other than Sun games themselves. Matthew and John define what it is to be a fanatic and do an incredible job storytelling the narrative of the season for a community for a community of other Suns fanatics. Appreciate that very much. Again,
Yeah, thank you. Nice.
know,
Nice to hear.
truly appreciate that. So again, head over to Apple, give us one of those 5-star reviews. Until Friday night, stay home and drink your beer.
Go home and review your family.
Review them. Just give them a 5-star review, unless you have that one bratty kid like 2.5 stars. If you know Boyd from the Aussie Suns fan podcast, he probably a bunch of 1 stars. Come on, Boyd, you're better than that.